I'm Sobi from Sandtons, and I'm sitting here today with Brian. Hello.
Hello.
We thought we'd take this opportunity today to introduce Sandtons and talk more about us, what do we do, and why do we exist. So Brian, tell us more about Sandtons. Why Sandtons and why in Spain?
My first child was born in Sandton, South Africa.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
And what a great name. And you know, when you're on Google and trying to find a domain for your website, obviously nowadays there's billions of websites.
Yes.
So the great names are gone. And then I thought, Sandton just sounds so plush. And I wasn't expecting Sandton.com to pop up, so I thought Sandtons.
I like that emotional aspect to it.
Yeah, you know, in Stevendale, my name's Stevendale, and I really like the idea of Stevendale, but there's a slight chance because of pronunciation in Espanol, Estevendale, I thought, yeah, Sandtons has got that name. And most people love it, so I'm really glad we've gone with that one.
So why did you decide to live in Spain and open Sandtons in Spain?
Well, I've been around Spain for 25 years. I used to work extensively in Gibraltar. I was head of commercial for a group called Fair Homes, and we built the Ocean Village development for high net worth individuals. It's actually a mixed-use resort, includes casinos, hotels, residential towers, and nightclubs and other various things. And by extension, there was also a World Trade Center put in there. And that was a very high responsible role, several hundreds of people working in there, creating many, many restaurants, bars, bringing retail banners into there. And of course, dealing with people in a residential level who are buying off-plan, high-value homes.
So can you tell us more about the services that Sandtons offers, and do you take any fees from the client?
No fees, but we don't work for free either. That's not gonna really work for anybody that way. But hey, it's important. Funny enough, professional services comes into that space. So let me link it that way. So lawyers for property, lawyers for your residency or taxation, or perhaps it's areas like you need a mortgage provider or you look for money transfer. We've gone out there and sought the very, very best in the Costa del Sol, internationally recognized companies. We have multiple offices, and we have selections of all of those who we don't sponsor or affiliate ourselves with, other than to say, we know these guys do a good job, and we provide that to our clients as part of the service. We ourselves, we're very, very focused on both the buying and the selling of the property space. And because I have extensive experience in property development on large-scale projects, my most recently was over 550 homes in America, 3,000 land lots. I really understand how that process works, from inception of sourcing right through to exiting. Exiting means selling the property. So that can be all manner of things, can't it? It can be, how do I source a property? How do I ensure the value of it is? What about the legal titles to make sure I'm protected, so I'm not buying something that exists or doesn't exist? How do I then ensure I pay my taxes correctly? What taxes should I be paying and shouldn't I be paying? Do I need licenses and permits if I want to rent it? All of that matters. And hey, hang on a minute, I lock and go this because I actually live in London or Berlin or New York. Then that's okay. People like us look after that process for you, ensuring that you get rental income if that's what you choose to do, some of the times with the property. Even down to things like furnishings, we have interior design companies we can recommend into that space. In exits of 40 because, hey, how do you optimize it? You might take our guidance on when we think it's optimally to sell, or you might need to sell it quickly. We have facilities, obviously, to put that back into the market space. And quite often we sell homes that are not even on the market because we have such pent-up client demand. The speciality, of course, is that most foreigners want to buy off-plan. They like the idea of a 10-year warranty. They like the idea of a special home where they can lock and go, full of smart technology, of course, because it's modern built. And nowadays, there's so much more, aren't they?
So can we talk a little bit more about the timings? Does it matter if I buy the house at the earliest phase?
Well, that just depends, because if you're buying a resale home, the right time to buy is now. There's never a better time, because what we've seen historical trends on the graphs, independent, of course, the main portals, market reports endlessly come out, consistent growth of obviously COVID time aside, but it's been actually exponential growth since COVID. But even historically beyond that, the Marbella and the whole of the Costa del Sol continue to grow quite dramatically. So what's really more important is where to buy, I think, in terms of that retail space. Because if you buy in the wrong area, then there must be a reason for that. So knowing the local areas well enough is important, I would suggest. And Marbella is a city that everyone in the world knows. It's a landmark. Porto Banús is world famous. But of course, those that live here, we don't tend to go there. It tends to be tourists. So you live up in the hills or you live in the old town. What's that for me? What's the opportunity? But of course, like all major cities, you're seeing a transfer of the people living more down the coastline. Why? Because they want to be closer to the beach. They actually want more modern amenities. So it's interesting in the Costa del Sol. Naturally, the coastline's been built. So homes, urbanizations, as we refer to them here, tend to be more established, 15, 20 years old. There are newer ones, again, further away from Marbella, more southerly along the coastline. You can buy modern down there. Why am I talking about that? If you want to buy a resale, you'll get, for example, El Presidente sits right on the border between Estepona and Marbella. It has tennis courts, even paddle tennis, 3 swimming pools, and even has a golf driving range inside it. Highly popular. It doesn't come up for sale very often. Why? Because people that own them love living there, and or it's very easy to rent for tourists because it's right on the beach. So what you're seeing is, on the other side of the coastal road, is this explosion, is the right word I think to use, of new developments. So there are about 50, 60 being built in Estepona alone right now, less in Marbella, because Marbella is quite built up. These developments are the pinnacle of interest for the buyers. The buyers are predominantly, like ourselves, from overseas or from more northern parts of Europe.
So when is the best time to buy?
So within a new development, it's always in the first phase. It's just kind of logical, really. Here's how this works. So you acquire land, and I come from a developer background, so I say this with first-hand experience. So you buy this piece of land, and that's not been an easy process for you. What's your biggest obstacle to building it? If you're not a big public company, it could be cash flow, and or if it's run as an independent vehicle. What do developers do? They're wise to this. So they tend to sell in phases, larger developments. You do get boutique sites of 18, 24 homes, or it could be 6 villas. But typically developments can be 60, 80, 120 homes and larger. Now there's two things. Before we talk about when to buy them, the transition since COVID has allowed developers to catch up. What I mean by that is now they tend to offer more lifestyle resorts.
Okay.
So it's not just about a splash pool with 20 of you fighting to jump in it on a hot day. Well, now what you're seeing is multiple swimming pools, private swimming pools, they're plunge pools, or it could be there's a co-working area, which is very much in vogue these days. And gymnasiums, spas, even beach clubs in some of the larger ones are becoming the normal. And clients are expecting that. So developers are upping their game all the time. That's number one. Number two is, what do I buy within that? So someone has to get that garden apartment that's on the corner that doesn't have views, but they don't tend to sell. But actually, there are opportunities. So when do you buy that one? If you're an investor, you'd buy that towards the end of the project. Why? The developer might look at that to sell it on and move on to his next project. But really where the opportunity is buying in the first phases. The developer needs to assure their backers that they're making something that makes sense. They've got the confidence in their marketing, they've purchased the land, they've got the license and permits to put in place. We make sure they do for you anyway. But then they sell the first phase at the lowest prices they can. Lowest prices, they're not giving them away, but they're offering really good value against the market, which is typically 20 to 25% in the typical market space. So your capital appreciation when built is already 25%. Of course, the market's growing over 10, 11% anyway. So without getting heavy with numbers, I just said, let's do 20% growth on buying off plan, and then 10% of growth in 2 years when it's built, adds up to 40% capital appreciation. Exciting, isn't it? Look how much money you've made already. But the other beauty of a first phase is best vistas, best views, best orientations. Why? Because it's the front line,
Choice
the first
is
part
right.
of it, the choice is best.
Yeah.
But how are you going to know about them? If you're living in England, Germany, Sweden, United States, how would you know about that development? That's why people like Sandtons exist. The good agents, the better quality agents, we've got the inside track. We talk to the developers every day. We know the fluctuations in the product choice and selection that's coming up. So that's why you need an agency, an independent agency that can give you best choice. because there's budgets are relevant, number of bedrooms, and there's important things like, am I close to the schools, if that matters to you? Am I walking distance to the beach? Hang on, where's the superstore? What if we want to go out for a casual dinner tonight? Can I walk to somewhere? Or am I on some hillside in the middle of nowhere? No one's never in the middle of nowhere, but you can get an idea of that.
Of course.
So choice and selection is a really important characteristic from our clients.
So beach lovers would want to be close to the beach, hikers want to be in the middle of the mountain, right? But choosing the property is one thing. What about the lifestyle?
Well, lifestyle, and again, that's a subjectivity. For the amount of clients that say to us, so Brian, which one do you like best? I can never answer that question because I don't offer you anything I wouldn't buy myself if I was in that market space. What's important to me is really listening to the client. It's client first all the time. What do you want? What do you really need? And what would you like a wish list? So that's important. So talk to your partner, talk to your family, those you're investing with, and decide what's essential to you. So for example, what's essential would be by the beach. What's the point of me showing you something that's 15 minutes drive away? If it's essential that you're near schools, then let's do that. There's a plethora of different international schools and more coming because the community is very international here and keeps growing. Very much global citizen space. So we like to ask those questions. Would you like a sunrise? Would you like a sunset? Hey, what's that romantic space you might want to see yourself in? Do you want panoramic views looking out over into the African coastline? Are you happy with a garden apartment because you've got two little dogs that want to run around in the garden? Do you want a private pool? How important is it for you that, you've got a neighborhood and a community and friends that might come from that lifestyle? Or do you want privacy and individualism within that home structure? What we're seeing is an increasing number, as land becomes less available, I'm seeing more villas coming up. So the transition away from larger lifestyle resorts are definite, and more bespoke villa developments of 6, 8, or 10 units, higher value, but cover your privacy, but still within a community aspect. Now, again, if you want the best of them, you need to know when they're coming out. You need to have the inside information about their availability, their pricing, and so forth. But of course, it doesn't mean that future properties within developments don't offer you value, because what we're seeing is sellouts all the time. So really, really big developments of 80, 120 units sold out. And they're not sold out when people are getting the keys. They're sold out sometimes before they're even built. So the larger developments, we're seeing sell-throughs. It can be as high as 40, 60% in the first few weeks.
Yeah.
And in the smaller ones, there's been experiences recently where it's been a complete sellout in the first week or two. The developer might have got his pricing wrong there. So good luck to the investors that did that. If they're sticking, there's usually a reason for it. Yeah. It's either bad views, lack of amenities, or incorrect pricing. But actually, they're few and far between.
So for non-Europeans, it might seem like a daunting process to buy a house in Spain. Is it though?
No, it's no different to anyone buying a home here. So you're a Spanish national, or you're me, who's fortunate enough to live here, or you're someone like me, originally from the UK or North America, not in the European Union, and you want to come and live here. There are very easy residency visas available, and we've done some interviews on that, and you can find them on our YouTube channel with lawyers specifically dealing with residency for people just like that. The transition into the taxation system, again, we have independent lawyers. We've done videos on that on our YouTube channel. So all those questions we've answered on video. I'm not the expert, but that's why I've interviewed them, so that we can tell you on camera and in print on our website all about that.
So all I'm hearing is experience, expertise, Sandtons. Tell us more about you.
I'm experienced, expertise, and Sandtons. Yeah, I guess that's that world we're in. Look, we're at an age now where we have a 30-year track record proven in property development on a major scale. In addition to being the commercial head of the Fair Homes Group, who own Eden projects across the Costa del Sol here in Spain, and also own Ocean Village and the World Trade Center in Gibraltar. I was also CEO of Sunborn Luxury Yacht Hotels, 5-star, and opened one in Gibraltar and also one in London for that group. I've done casinos for them and nightclubs for them too, interesting spaces. I learned a great deal about casinos. And more recently, the last 6-7 years, I was over in America again. I've been in America before for a few years. This time it was Florida. So I worked right across the whole state, from Naples in the southwest, right across to Fort Lauderdale, up as far as Melbourne, across to Orlando, not as far as Jacksonville. Extensive portfolio, over 500 homes, 3,000 land lots. And what I did there was sourced and managed that property portfolio. And that was great for me because that gave me the discipline and education needed really to be a professional within that space. So some were just a flip, meaning you sell on a home. There was no point investing, for example, in a new kitchen. It would increase the value. That's education.
Yeah.
Or let's put a new kitchen in it and get 20,000 more for the house. Or let's tear this down and turn this $300,000 home into $3 million. I've done that too. So in other times there was pieces of land where we built a house for 300,000 or 5 million. So that diversity of experience is quite educational. You get a sense for the local market, what valuation should be, and knowing, transferring that back to your clients gives them confidence. So the investors behind that were hugely successful in the back of that work I did.
So having traveled all the world, you chose to live in Spain.
Well, why wouldn't you? The number one thing is it's a very welcoming place. The number two, I know it quite well. My children grew up here. But you feel safe here. It's part of the European Union, so you're not exposed to economic hardships in terms of currency fluctuations. My home country, the UK, has been quite damaged by Brexit. It's not even arguable, it's a fact. Every statistics suggest that. And it's getting more difficult in that country in particular to do buy-to-let for investments, for example. Whereas here, you're seeing great return on investment opportunity, and of course that combined with the lifestyle. So I've drifted back into work again because that's my mantra, because it's very much about I live and breathe this industry, and for me, delivering excellence in service. I feel that there's many great agents here. They're either very large and international, or they're very, very small. What I don't see is a strong boutique agency understanding the disciplines of return on investment, capital yield returns on rental income, and the processes during the acquisition and also the exit of selling a property optimally. And obviously that's something we can do quite comfortably.
Perfect. Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you.